Hi everyone, and thank you for your time. My name is Chen Goldberg, and I will be talking today about cloud security and continuous delivery. But first, a few words about me. I am the co-founder and CEO of CloudWize. CloudWize is a company that we founded because we couldn't handle the cloud security manually on a daily basis. So we decided a solution was needed. I have 15 years experience in managing production environments in different companies of all kinds of sizes. I love to share my knowledge and help other companies. And that is the reason for today's session. I want to share with you some of the insights we gained during helping companies embrace full security in their cloud environments. For today's agenda, I will try to cover the most critical challenges companies face today in the CI/CD. Focusing on the cloud. I will start with the big picture. Later, we will talk about the relevant persons and challenges we have regards the cloud. And last but not least, I will try to go over a few use cases we've seen in the last few years and give tips to optimize the security in the pipeline. Let's start with the big picture. In the last decade, we saw a change in the software development lifecycle. More and more organizations adopt agile methods that accelerate the development lifecycle, entered the concept of the CI/CD, and added more stakeholders to the process. The main reason was the requirement from the business and product to move faster and deliver more features. However, we all know that moving faster may harm the quality and security as well. On the other hand, Agile brings the company great value, but it's more challenging. This is because companies need today to deploy fast. And the process that was supervised and took weeks to a month or even months now happen daily. The usage of different technologies, including cloud services in the project pipeline, create the need to define more secure guardrails in the processes. And that should be every company's vision. Now, let's take a look on cloud security in each stage of the pipeline. Each phase has its own specific security requirements and tools and best practices that need to be fulfilled. Companies are using different tools or professional services to gain control of their security in the delivery process, especially in the cloud, that is more challenging to deal with when the environments are changing rapidly and even cloud providers change their offering on a daily basis. Before the cloud, the company was the only one in charge of the process, but moving to the cloud create share responsibility model. We are sure that the cloud will reduce the overhead that we used to have managing on-prem environment, but many times people that start to migrate their workload into the cloud ask me, Chen, I moved to the cloud, so why should I need to care about the security and compliance? The provider is in charge of all of that, doesn't it? Well, that is not the situation. The cloud provider is in charge of full security and compliance on their services, the one that they offer you to use, but you are in charge of securing the implementation. I'm going to show you later how exactly and what I mean. Let's jump to it. Let's take, for example, one of the security requirements I have. Encrypt my data so that nobody will suffer from a data breach, right? To do so, I need to overview all my services that are related to the data storage and make sure that each one of them are enabled with encryption. I may think that this is the default state, but the picture here of AWS EBS volume configuration shows us that it's my responsibility to enable it. Now, assuming I didn't enable it, let's take one step forward and show you exactly how this small misconfiguration can affect other services as well. This is another thing about cloud security, context. Always find all the connection between the entities and the influence and the trade-off that it has. Understanding the whole picture and relative connection in that use case might exposing sensitive data to other third party or another user that use the cloud in a different way. So we need to keep in mind that all the requirements I have need to be considered and not specific requirement regarding configuration DBS. It may have context and influence on other services as well. Now, let's try to map all the challenges we have in the pipeline regards cloud security and try to understand how we can deal with each one of them. Doing so will make our continuous delivery to be more efficient. The first challenge is communication with all the cloud stakeholders. Today, more and more cloud stakeholders have become a part of the CI/CD process. We need to understand the boundaries of each other, understand the trade-offs, and sometimes look at a different angle to understand the whole picture. As the company becomes more mature, there will be more cloud stakeholders, but still, one of the bad symptoms is that there is no owner of the cloud. So we need to work as a team and build good communication. Let's give an example. In the planning stage, we have a security requirement from the CISO, the one that charge of all the security in the company. He asked us to provide all our workload in the Europe region to stand in GDPR compliance. The R&D team have their own requirement from the business that the application need to be 24/7 on air in high availability mode. The DevOps team that take those requirements now can deploy a high availability multi-region to fulfill the R&D requirements, and by mistake or not, now there's a conflict that the CIO and the CISO might not be aware of. Let's add it to the example, the FinOps. This is another layer in the pipeline. The FinOps is the one that is in charge of optimize the cloud regarding expenses. He or she can ask the DevOps to remove Europe region entities because Europe region is more expensive than the other regions. And by that, we ended with all our stake outside of Europe. How much time do you think will take the security team to understand what was changed? Remember, once you communicate better, you can get feedback right away and get rid of bottlenecks. The second challenge that we have is lack of expertise in the cloud. Today, the cloud services are changing on a daily basis, and it's hard to keep update with all the changes. Still, we need to make sure our security team keep updating with all the best practices. A few ways to do so is purchase tools that aim to fulfill the gaps, having more security reviews, meeting with your cloud account manager, and get assistance from the cloud providers, architects, using MSP that have expertise in that domain. Don't say it will be okay. Make sure you use all the mentioned and building a center of excellence to the cloud security in your company. Challenge number 3, reduce the operation expenses. We want to make sure to build a lean and effective security system that check only the relevant policy regarding my cloud architecture. Because our goal is to build the development pipeline that runs smoothly and automatically, we want to make sure no tasks are being done manually and we are not repeating them. Challenge number 4 is building a system that continuously heals itself with minimum interruptions. Most of the companies today are doing reactive maintenance, finding security holes, fix them, and repeat that process manually. But we want to become more proactive maintenance and make sure that the system fix any future problems without the need of manual work. We just need to remove all the manual scripts that we are building, turn them into automatic process, and it actually gonna make our continuous delivery pipeline and security checks more efficient. The last challenge I'm going to talk about today is full visibility of what's going on and what to do. When you get visibility, you can take control. In order to get that visibility in the cloud, especially in the cloud that refer to the continuous delivery, we need to do preliminary actions, collect all the relevant data from the cloud, meaning collect cloud services configuration, events, identity access, cost usage, metrics, logs, network configuration, etc. If you don't want to pay the extra money, make sure you collect only the relevant or the most important environments, such as prod or pre-prod, what's called staging also. Once you're doing that, you need to organize all the data that you collected, the logs and the security threads, into one centralized place. Put all that logs into centralized log system for better understanding. And now, on an audit process or a breach, you can act fast with no missing pieces spread in different places. And there is no timeline boundaries. Today, cloud provider limits you with the timeline that you can pull the logs. Try to find a way to take all the logs without a limitation that you can go back in time and check exactly who did what and what was changed. After you get all that logs, you now can prioritize the risk based on the architecture stack and history of attack. Use MITRE community, and you can find in that MITRE community website a lot of use cases of previous attacks. This will build the knowledge that you need in your company. Once you have that, you can build service mesh between the object for getting context information. Getting the context information, it helps us actually to understand how to prioritize risk and what actually do matter. Try to build on top of that simple views and continuous monitoring for full discovery and assessment. Remember, cloud environment change rapidly. So what was yesterday is not relevant for today. You need to take all the things we mentioned here and doing that continuously. Now, the conclusion, we need a tool that solves all of those challenges. It's almost impossible to do it manually. So when you're talking about tool, you don't want a flashy tool that will make you crash. So let's try to understand what we are looking for in a tool. Here's how to choose a security tool. First, get a tool that provides you with what you really need and not based on your decision. Is it nice to have? Is that tool popular on the web? No, I need a tool that fulfills my requirement. The tool should be relevant to all the phases in the continuous delivery pipeline. Each step have its own security checks, and you need to make sure that you get a tool that fulfill all the stages. Make sure to find one tool instead of a million tools that actually stay on the shelf and you're not using them. A tool need to be customized for your own needs. If you need to write policy regarding your company requirement, it's not helpful that you got a lot of list of insight that you cannot use or making it false positive. Remember, some of the stakeholders are non-coder. So we need to fit the tool for a non-coder as well. We need to consider all the stakeholders in the cloud, and some of them are non-coder. So just try to give them simple view to understand each other's needs. Investigation capabilities that enable our professional services team the availability to forensic things, forensic complex situation. This is very needed, especially in the cloud, where there's a lot of entities that may be affected only when I do forensic and understanding complex situation. Remember, the tool must work for you 24/7 for proactive maintenance. Now, one thing to take is the tool are a means to an end, not the target. Your goal is to discover, investigate, and react faster in that continuous delivery pipeline. If the tools slow you down, probably it's not what you need. Always ask this question: does it save me time in the long run? Does it help me reduce resources? Does it short and efficient my CI/CD pipeline? Does it help me better understanding all the trade-offs regard other stakeholders' needs? Some key takeaways for the cloud security in continuously delivery. One, it's all about communication and organization culture. To succeed, you need teamwork and an understanding of each other's needs. Second, define your needs before you choose the tool. Make sure that you have all stakeholders' requirements and everything is in the tool. Remember, the tool should work for you, not the other way around. Automation is necessary, not only in the deployment cycle of the continuous delivery, also in the security, that there are not going to be any bottleneck and delay in the delivery. Turn manual policy enforcement work into automatic workflows at each stage in the continuous delivery pipeline. Don't force people to do something that is not in their DNA. Developers are not security people, and security people are not developers. Remember that. Keep in mind that you cannot make everything secure all the time, but you can build a process. Thank you for your time and see you in the Q&A.